Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Jane. You're welcome to Jane by Design. So today I'll be showing us how to sew this beautiful pattern we previously drafted. If you've not seen the pattern, I'm going to be leaving the link in the video, okay? So please subscribe to the channel, watch the video to the end, and yeah, if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Let's just straight into the video. What the pattern looks like on fabric. I've cut out the pattern on my fabric, and when I was cutting, there are places I didn't add stitching allowances to. I'm going to be adding. This is the area where we are going to be having the gathered on, the pleated parts on. So I went ahead to notch the center and the part where this gathers is going to stop, the pleats is going to stop. So for the center back and the center front, I added 1/2 inch stitching allowance to those areas because when I was drafting, I didn't add stitching allowance to these areas. So I've added 1/2 inch towards the center front, and then towards the side back, I added 1/2 inch as well. You can see that. So, and this is the front. I have cut out 2 pieces for the front. I added 1/2 inch towards the curve, the bust area. I already have my 1 inch stitching allowance towards the side, and also for the yoke I added 1/2 inch towards the armhole and towards the neckline of this pattern. Now what I've done here is to open up my fabric, and this is the center front. So what I'll do now is to place the side fronts, one piece of my side front on my center front, and I'm going to stitch by 1/2 inch. I'll take the other piece of the side front and place it on top of the center front, and I'm going to stitch by 1/2 inch. So whatever you do for the main fabric is what you're going to be doing for the lining. So for my yoke as well, I'm going to be joining them together. I've cut out 2 pieces for each pair of, so I cut out 2 pairs for each yoke. So I'm going to go turn it with each other like that. So I cut out 2 because I'm going to be using one as a lining and one as the main fabric. So I'm going to go stitch that down on both sides towards the armhole and towards the neckline. So after stitching the front, this is what it looks like. I went ahead to also iron an interface and iron an air stay to it just so that it give it structure. This is a bust here and you need it to be a little bit firm in that area. So this is what my yoke or the sleeve would look like when you are done. Okay, so I've stitched the part where it's facing the neckline. I'm going to go ahead and also stitch close the part where we have the armhole so that we can conceal the armhole. I'll do this for both the front and the back. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the same thing on the lining. Whatever you do for the main fabric is what you're going to do for the lining. So this is my back piece. I've joined the center back of both sides together, and this is what it looks like. You can see the zipper area is open. That's because we are going to be attaching a zipper to that place. Now I'm going to take the front panel and I'm going to place it on the back panel right sides, facing each other inside. Then I'm going to go stitch down by 1 inch on both sides. So I will repeat the same thing also for my lining. And yeah, we're going to move on to the sleeves. So moving on to the sleeves of this pattern of this dress, I have stitched up the 2 yoke of the front and I have turned it inside out. I've also stitched the back yoke as well, but I didn't turn it. I left the wrong side. So you can see that for the back yoke, the wrong side is what is facing us, and for the front yoke, the right side is what is facing us. So what you need to do now is to take the one of the front yoke and then you're going to tuck it into the back yoke, ensuring that they meet at the shoulder line. So the reason why we are doing this technique is so that we can get a seamless finish at the shoulder. Okay, so what I'm doing here is to just tuck in the yoke of the front into the back and then arrange it properly, ensure that they are properly arranged and they meet each other. All right, so now after you've arranged it and you've tucked it in, you're going to now take it to the sewing machine and stitch down by 1/2 inch. All right, so you will also repeat the same thing for the second sleeve. Okay, you are going to tuck it inside the back, and you're going to align the shoulders properly. After aligning the shoulders, then you now stitch down. So I just used my pins to hold it down, and then I took to the sewing machine to stitch down. So after I stitched down that shoulder line, I'm going to turn it to the right side, and this is what it will look like on the right side. You can see that the shoulder is properly concealed and the stitches are all inside. All right, so this is what it looked like. I will take it to the ironing board to iron. After ironing, you can see that the sleeves for the dress is relaxed, and now we are going to now place it on the dress so that we can attach it to the dress. So you need to attach the sleeves to the dress first before using your lining to cover it up. So right now what I'm doing is to take the front panel of the sleeve, okay, to take the front yoke and place it on top of the front. Ensure that you get the right placement for this yoke for the front and also for the back. So I'm ensuring that I have the right placement for both front and back of my sleeve. Okay, so after you've gotten the placement where it's supposed to sit on your garment, you're now going to take to the machine and just hold it down by some fuse. Just stitch it down so that it stays nice and put. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side of the sleeve. I'm going to pin it down at the appropriate position both for the front and the back, then take it to the machine and tack it down with some stitches. Okay, so now after that is done, you just take to the sewing machine and just stitch down. So just attach it to the main dress. So now you're done attaching. This is what they should look like. Okay, you can see the sleeves is sitting well on the dress. So after this is done, the next thing I'm going to do is to attach a zipper to this. So this is the zip that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead now and attach my zipper at the zipper opening at the back. Okay, I'm going to go sew in my zipper. This is an open end zipper, but if you have an invisible zipper, this is the only zipper I have at the moment. So if you have an invisible zipper, it can also work. Okay, so after attaching the zip, this is what it looks like at the back. The zip is looking pretty and sitting pretty at the back of this dress. So the next thing I will do after I'm done attaching the zipper is I'm going to attach a breast cup to this. So this is the lining of my fabric. So what I will do now is to take my breast cup and I'm going to just stitch it at the center of the line. So just mark it down, ensure that you have you accurately align it. So at this point I'm using pin to just ensure that the breast cup sits at exactly where I want it to be at. Okay, so I'm just using my pins to secure it down. Now you can skip this part if you don't want to attach a breast cup to yours. This is optional. Okay, so I'm just pinning down to ensure that where I want the breast cup to sit is sitting well. So after this I'm going to go take to the machine and I'm going to stitch the breast cup to the lining. So mind you, I'm attaching the breast cup to the lining of this pattern. So after attaching the breast cup, you can see the line, the stitches at the middle. Okay, it's running through the bust line. So just ensure to stitch this properly. After stitching, this is what the breast cup looks like on the lining. So now I'm going to attach the fabric and the lining together, and to do that I'll place them right sides facing each other, and then we are going to make sure that they align properly. Ensure to tuck your sleeve inside the main fabric. You can see the way I'm tucking my sleeve inside, so that when I take this to my sewing machine, I'm just going to stitch from one end to the other. Okay, so here it is. I've stitched down the lining and the main fabric at the neckline, and after stitching, this is what it looks like. At this point you can go ahead and do a top stitch if you want to, And also I recommend that you notch also. It's very, very important. So I'm going to take this now to the machine, and I'm going to do a top stitch at the neckline, starting from the back, all the way from the back towards the front, and that will be it. The top stitch is going to allow the garment, the lining, to sit inside the garment without popping out. Okay guys, so after I've done the top stitch, this is what it looks like. The neckline of the front and the back looks like. Okay, you can see how beautiful it came out. You can go ahead and iron this out so that it gives you a very, very neat finishing as well. So this is what it looks like after ironing it. So now what we are going to do now is to conceal the zipper. So for the zipper, I'm going to open up the fabric and the lining. The point where we have the zipper meets the lining, we are going to turn it inside out. So you're going to turn the fabric and the lining to face themselves, right sides facing each other on the right side. Then you are going to use the lining to cover up the zip. You can see the way I am doing it in this video. I'm using this lining to cover up the zip. So what you will do now is to take to your sewing machine, and you are going to stitch all the way from the top down to the bottom of the dress. I'll do this for the right side, and I'll repeat the same thing for the other side of the zipper. All right, so after that is done, okay, this is what it should look like after you have concealed the zipper. This is what it should look like at the end of the day. Okay, this is what your zipper area should look like. I'm going to zip it so you see what it looks like on the inside. So I'm just going to turn the inside so you see what the zipper looks on the inside. See what it looks like. It's looking really, really beautiful and clean. Okay, so now that we are done with this, the next thing we are going to do now is to attach the gathered parts of our dress. So now remember that I notched the center of this pattern. So those notches is what I'm going to use to attach this pattern. So the place where I had the center notch, I'm going to match that center notch to my side seam. Okay, you're going to match your center notch to your side seam. So I'm going to just turn this. I'm only attaching this to the main garment, excluding the lining. So that center notch that I have on my fabric, I'm going to attach it to the center line, to the side seam of my garments. I'm going to match them each together. Remember I said that we are only going to be attaching this to the main garment, excluding the lining. Okay, so that is what I'm doing right now. So I'll just use my pin to get the center line, and also to the point where the gathers is going to stop, I also placed a notch there, and I'm going to also get that notch. But before then, at the lower part of this dress, you're going to match the lower part just so that you have it even at the hem of the dress. Okay, so for the hem of the dress, I've made sure to pin down the hem of the dress so that when we start pleating, we are going to start our pleating from the notch where we have the part where we have a notch at where the waistline is and the gathers is. So that's where we are going to start pleating, if you understand what I mean. So I made two notches, one for the side seam and one to indicate where our pleating will start from on the garment. So that second notch is where the pleating is going to. So you're going to stitch from the hemline. When you get to the point where the notch is, that is where the pleating is going to start. Then you can now go ahead and start pleating your fabric from that point to the other point. I hope you understand what I mean. So first of all, what I'm doing is just secure the lower parts just so that we have it even at that point. So we are going to start stitching from the hem of the dress all the way. Okay, start stitching from the hem of your dress by 1/2 inch. Okay, when you get to the point where you are supposed to start splitting, you can see that we have a lot of excess fabric towards that, and you can see the excess fabric we have there. You are expected to pleat it on this few spaces you have left. So that is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to be using my pins to just secure some pleats around that area, right? So ensure to pleat this excess you have at the gap left, if you understand what I'm saying. So just ensure to pleat from the point where you have your pin, where you have your notch, to the center of, that's the center seam of your pattern, if you get that. Down from the center seam of your pattern on the right, you will also repeat the same thing at the left hand side. Okay, so right here I am pinning down. Okay, I'm creating pleats with my pin. I hope beginners will understand this part of this video. I'm creating pleats with my pin so that when I take to the sewing machine, it's just going to be one straight stitch all the way from the hem down to the lower part of the dress. So this is what it will look like, and I will repeat the same thing for the other side. Remember that the side does not have a stitch line on it. I hope you remember that. So at the other side, I'm doing the same thing as well. I've gotten my notch area. I'm going to pin that down. Then I'm going to match up the hem of this dress, and then I'm going to pin all the way up. When we get to the part where we are supposed to pleat, I'm going to pleat that down, and then we are going to stitch. So this is what it will look like. I'm going to take to the sewing machine, and we are going to pleat and then stitch down. I'll repeat the same process for the other side, for the left side of this dress. So guys, after we are done pleating, you can see what it looks like, both the right side and the left side, and you can see the zip is sitting pretty as well at the back of this dress. Okay, so I've pleated and I've stitched down. This is what our dress looks like at the back, and this is what the front looks like. You can see the pleated sides. It's looking really good. All right, so now remember we have our lining, and we didn't attach the lining to the fabric when we were attaching the pleated fabric. So now we are going to be turning our garments inside out. So we are going to be turning those garments to the wrong side. So I'm just going to open up my zipper, and we are going to turn this to the wrong side. So this is the wrong side of this dress. You can see that the lining has still not been attached to the main fabric. So what I will do right now is to just go ahead, and you can do a neat finishing by turning this towards the right, but I'm just going to stitch it down and then overlock the edges. Okay, but you can, if you want your stitches not to show, if you want that place to look, if you want the stitches to be concealed, you can as well just flip your lining towards the wrong side, and then you're going to be stitching. That way your stitches will be concealed. But I'm just going to stitch the lining down on the main garment. You can see what it looks like. The lining hasn't been attached yet, so I'm just going to follow the lines that I have already, the stitches I have already, and I'm going to just stitch down the lining on the main garment, and then I'm going to also fold the lower part of this dress. After that, the dress is done. I'm going to weave the inside. So this is what our dress looks like. I've not ironed it yet. Okay, so by the time you take this to the iron, it's going to look really good. I enjoyed it. If you're going to be making this, let me know in the comment section. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in my next one. Stay blessed. Bye.